everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Handy Mandy TV, and to be patriotic for this coming week, I'm Canadian, so Canada Day is actually tomorrow, which is Monday, and then July 4th is of course the American 4th of July, Independence Day, and so I'm going to do a bracelet that is themed with the colors for the Canadian and the American flag. So the full bracelet that I did is, of course, the American one. And if you see this, you see the red, white, and blue, and then I got some silver beads on there. So they're clear, and then they have like silver reflector kind of on the inside. So I was like silver with just, making everything pop, and it goes with pretty much any color. And so I will show you guys different permutations of this pattern. It's called a square knot senet. So senet means you're taking square knots in different combinations with different amount of strings to create different patterns, and this is technically a zigzag pattern, because if you could notice, the white is on the inside and it actually zigzags back and forth. So that's what I'm going to be showing you guys. So I'm going to show you guys a couple of different permutations on whether it looks like without beads, with beads, the combination of like string colors. And if you guys are from, not from Canada or the US, you guys can do whatever color of your national country, and this applies to any kind. Now just use the colors from your national flag or from your home team, like if you're going to do it for sports or your club or whatever you want to do, or whatever your favorite colors are. Because this, of course, like any bracelet, unless it's got an actual pattern for like a flag, that would be awesome. But just use the colors that are from your flag or your team or whatever. So this is going to be a fun little bracelet project, and I have an adjustable closure on there, so I will show you guys now how to make that. So these are the items that you're going to need. You need a clipboard, clips, ruler. I'm going to be measuring in inches for this demonstration. Scissors, crochet cord size 10, needle and a needle threader, beads size medium. And this is what I mean. The two on the far left are small. You need a size medium for the size crochet cord we're using. And a needle, you want to look for a large eye and a blunted tip. Now, I'm using the needle threader to actually bead the beads onto the crochet cord, and it's a lot easier because the size of the crochet cord and the size of the beads are the right size. But if I were to try and do one bead at a time, the edge really frays because the hole is so tight, and every time you try to bead one bead, that edge gets unraveled every time, and good luck trying to get 40 to 30 on at a time. So here are the planning stages. You need 3 inches on the edge of both sides for our adjustable closure, and the actual width that's going around your arm is minus 1 inch. That 1 inch is actually the adjustable part. So for a girl it's 7 inches, and for a guy it's 8 inches. And you can adjust this according to whether you're making for a child or someone who has like Dothraki man warrior hands or whatever. So that's what it's going to look like when it's all close up. You guys will see that at the end. I'll walk you through the whole step. So when you start, you knot off the very edge, and I'm using some yarn to illustrate this so that you guys know how to go about knotting everything and measuring and all the good stuff. And I will show you how to make a full square knot. So I've knotted the end, and now I've knotted again, and I'm making sure that it's exactly 3 inches. And every time you knot, it takes off a little bit of the length. So when you're making your full length for your cord, I actually end up measuring like 40 inches long for each strand, and I'm going to be using 8. So now I'm going to walk you guys through how to do a square knot. So the 2 in the center are called fillers, and you have 4 cords. Now you can have 3, but we're using 4. The left over the middle, which is the fillers. You take your right cord over that edge, behind the fillers, and a behind again through that little loop that is the left cord. So that's 1/2 of a square knot, and now we're going to do the reverse. You're going to take your right cord over the fillers. Yep, the right, not the left this time. Take your left over that edge, behind the fillers, and the behind through the loop. That was the right cord, and that is a full square knot. Half a knot, or half knots, is when you're only picking one side, to the left or the right, and you keep repeating half of that knot. And you can actually create a spiral that way. So I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to show you guys just how it kind of looks with complete square knots. Now each time we do one, we're only going to be doing one square knot. So traditionally this zigzag pattern has 6 cords, and for the Canadian one I have 2 red on the left, 2 white on the middle, 2 red on the right. So this white in the middle creates that zigzag pattern, and for the American one I show you guys what the pattern looks like. 2 red on the left, 2 blue on the right, white in the middle, and it's beaded, and then you get to see what the pattern looks like by itself. So if you guys want beads, you don't have to have beads. You can do whatever you want. And this is what it looks like when there's 3 blue, 3 red, so it's just 2 colors. But of course the zigzag doesn't show up as well as having a contrast layer color down the middle. So I always bead the beads first, and so the far cord on the left, which is number 1, and the far cord on the right, which is the blue, on number 6, they're all beaded in advance, and I just put like a little knot. So this is where it starts getting a little tricky, and I don't want to confuse you guys. Each square knot comprised of 2 half knots. If you start with a left cord going over your fillers for the first half of a square knot, then you would do the opposite, which is a right cord over the fillers, creating a right square or right half knot. So when you're doing a bead first on the left, followed by a full square knot, so 2 half knots together, on the left you would do a left facing square knot. So left half knot followed by a right half knot. On the right side, which is the blue in this case, you would do a bead, which of course sometimes you can forget to put it on. You can just take your blunted needle and pull it apart, so that way you can not have to undo that square knot but still get the bead through. You would do a square knot comprised of 2 half knots. On the right you would do a right half knot followed by a left half knot. So on the left side of this pattern it's a left facing square knot. On the right side of this pattern it's a right facing square knot. So just watch what I'm doing, and of course I'm making a little bit of mistakes because it does get confusing even just for me as I was doing this, because I'm looking at the camera to make sure I get all the right shots and the close enough detail so you guys can see this. But if you guys watch this, you guys will see exactly what I mean. So once you have those basics down, you just keep alternating between left and right. So left side being red and the right side being blue. Now, cords number 2 and 3, I have a clip on the bottom left of my clipboard that's holding them down so that they're taut. So the second red one, which is cord number 2, and cord number 5, which is the blue one, those are both always under the clips. And because this pattern requires that the square knots take up so much of your cord length will actually greatly shrink with the amount of knots that you're doing. So whatever amount of length that you need, just for, say this is going to be a woman's bracelet, I took off an inch from the 7-inch total because I'm doing an an adjustable closure. So it needs to be a full 6 inches long before I make my closure, and I still have to have excess. So whatever my length is, so I've got 6 inches for my actual bracelet, 3 inches at the beginning and 3 inches at the end for my adjustable closure. So 6 plus 3 plus 3 is 12 inches. And I will multiply that by 3 or 4 just to make sure that I have enough length. I mean, I have buttloads of crochet cords, so it's not like I really care about wasting. I want to make sure that I'm not going to be cut short and having to do all these little fixes at the end. So once I have 6 inches for my actual bracelet, as you just saw, I'm going to knot it right there at the end. And now I'm going to make sure that I do a knot for my adjustable part. That's going to be 3 inches, and cut off the excess. Any of these beads I'm just going to put away into my bead container so that I can use it for another project. Then I'm going to take the 3 inches from both sides at the edges of my bracelet. I'm going to take my clips and I'm going to overlap them like so, and I'm going to clip them together. And this is going to be for my adjustable closure. And then I'm going to take one end and I'm going to clip it to my actual clipboard so it doesn't move as I'm trying to do my square knots. So I'm going to see which of these cords will actually look better for my closure. I'm going to go with the red just because it pops more and it goes and it doesn't make it too dark. Whatever you guys want, I would just choose whatever color you actually use for your bracelet. So I'm just going to do a basic little kind of round knot. And then I'm going to do anywhere between 6 and 8 square knots. It depends on how wide you make it. Sometimes they're a little spaced, but you can just scrunch them together. And you want it roughly 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch because all those little knots are just going to create that extra length that you need, and it just gives more room to open the bracelet. Now I'm just going to back tack. So having threaded my blunted needle, I'm going through the first 2, back through those first 2, and through 4. So back 2, through 4, back 2, forward 4, back 2, forward 4, until I get to the end. And this will prevent your adjustable closure from coming undone when you open and close it so many times as you're wearing your new bracelet. And once I reach the end, I also want to go through that very last thread as well. And what's great about the blunted tip is it's not likely to go through the threads of your actual bracelet, so that way you're not going to get caught on them and then rip the cords as you're trying to open and close it and force it. And that's why you need it loose, so that you don't do that. So if you guys have any comments, requests, or anything like that, I'd love to hear from you guys, and I will see you guys all in 2 weeks. Happy Canada Day and 4th of July.